This is the snack-sized version of the history of this accomplished man, Adam Smith.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly wave at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming in the rocket's red glare.
The man who in 1776 published his magnum opus, The Wealth of Nations, which is often referred to as the Bible of Capitalism. Hailed as the father of economics, his exact date of birth is unknown, but he was baptized in Kirkcaldy, Scotland on June 5th, 1723.
At the age of 14, I was studying moral philosophy at the University of Glasgow. My good old teacher was Francis Hutcheson, founding father of Scottish Enlightenment.
Adam Smith was deeply influenced by Hutcheson. Then, in 1740, Smith moved to Balliol College in Oxford after receiving a scholarship.
Being in Oxford wasn't very mentally stimulating. I taught myself mainly about classical and contemporary philosophy.
Returning to his hometown after 6 years, Smith began giving public lectures. He discussed a wide range of topics, from rhetoric to history and economics.
History, blah blah blah, economics, money, blah blah blah, slavery is not an efficient way of efficiency. Say no to slavery.
In 1751, Smith took a job as a professor of logic at Glasgow University. He transferred the next year to the more well-paid professorship of moral philosophy.
Hello, I am Professor Smith and I teach natural theology, ethics, jurisprudence, and political economy.
A few years later, in 1760, Smith was elected Dean of Faculty for Glasgow University.
This is the happiest and most honorable period of my life. I spend my mornings at lectures and then my afternoons on university affairs.
His evenings were spent accompanied by many powerful and intellectual figures, such as
Joseph Black, pioneer of the field of chemistry; James Watt, inventor who greatly improved the steam engine; Robert Fallis, a notable printer and publisher, but the most important of all, Andrew Cochrane, a merchant and provost of Glasgow who gave me the valuable information in trade.
Later on, the knowledge shared by Andrew and other merchants would help Smith write The Wealth of Nations. The ideas of Adam Smith shaped future economies significantly. Because he was one of the first important people to advocate for a free market, he is described to be the very father of capitalism.
Dear Diary, I would like to proclaim that the importance of the free market, assembly line production methods, and gross domestic product is imperative to thriving economics.
These ideas were the foundation for theories of classical economics. His ideas continued to influence other economists for centuries, including David Ricardo and Karl Marx.
Honestly, bub, the government isn't that bad. They should definitely have the responsibilities for education, enforcing laws and administrative justice, enforcing private property, defending the nation against aggression, you know.
Smith firmly believed that every individual working towards their own self-interest would inadvertently benefit society as a whole. He wrote about a metaphorical invisible hand that guides the unseen forces in an economy, such as supply and demand.
A wealthy nation is one with every citizen working productively towards bettering themselves and addressing their financial needs.
All countries with market or mixed economies are based in some way on Smith's ideas due to the massive influence of his ideals and philosophy in The Wealth of Nations. His ideas are still spread in the classical school of economics and in institutes such as the Adam Smith Institute. Smith showed the importance of free markets, assembly-line production methods, and gross domestic product, which propelled the world's economy into a new train of thought. Smith's strong opposition to mercantilism challenged the economic norms of the time, which promoted protectionism, high tariffs, and hoarding of physical wealth. He was different from his contemporaries, as he had many controversial ideas at the time. However, these ideas would prove to be extremely progressive and insightful to society.
Before me, mercantilism was dominating Europe for 300 years. I broke a 300-year-old tradition. Would you look at that? I told you economic growth under the encouragement of mercantilism would be far slower in a world gone global than if free trade was encouraged.
As you can tell, Smith was not universally praised immediately, as some people were skeptical of his ideas. For most of Smith's life, the United States was not even a country yet. They were still called the United Colonies, but Smith was an advocate against the British colonialism.
You know, I was a supporter of the independence in the Revolution. The best course of action for everyone would be for the British Empire to give up its authority and allow the colonies to enact their own laws. If they continue to battle with us, it's inevitable that the British Empire would fall.
Adam Smith died in Edinburgh, Scotland on July 17, 1790, after suffering from a painful illness. His legacy was as the father of capitalism, his ideas leading the way to forever change how economics are perceived on a global scale.